month, we are just taking some time and saying at the beginning of the school year, what's the best way that as a follower of Jesus, I can follow Jesus? What's the best way that I can live my life for him? What's the best way that I can impact other people for him? And so last week we looked at this idea that Jesus looks at you and he looks at me and he speaks two words. And those two words are simply this: follow me. Follow me. And in those two words, Jesus communicates some things very, very clearly. He communicates that he has some plans for us, that he wants us to do some things, that he wants us on his team. And he also communicates that we are not mediocre, that we are exceptional. And he sees us as key players on his team to impact people for his kingdom. And so when you look at yourself, I encouraged you last week and I'll encourage you again, and this is something I think we don't say enough. When you look at yourself, I would love it if you would see yourself through the eyes of Jesus. And you would see yourself as someone that is exceptional, someone that is vitally important to God's kingdom, and that Jesus sees you as exceptional. And if we want to live the best life that we can possibly live as we follow Jesus, it's having a right view of ourselves. It starts with having a right view of ourselves and viewing ourselves through the eyes of Jesus and shoving out the lies that Satan tells us and shoving out the things that the earth throws on us that says that we are less than, because God looks at us and says, no, you're exceptional and you're incredible. And as we move on from that, the big question is, once we get a view of ourselves, and that's a continual process, as we continue to get that view of ourselves, how can we impact other people along the way? How can we impact other people for God's kingdom? And so the big question tonight is simply this: how can we do that? And who in your life needs to know God better? Who can you impact for God? And so let me make one thing really clear before we move forward. There are two things involved in when we start talking about impacting people for God's kingdom. There is the who are you going to impact? And there is the how. What's the best way to do that? Next week, we are going to talk about the how. We're going to give some practical ideas and examples of ways that we can impact people. But tonight, I want to take a step back and simply talk about who. And really allow you guys to sit and think for a moment, who is it in my life that needs to know Jesus better? Who is it in my life that needs to know Jesus more fully? So I'm going to take you back again, like I did last week, to not quite middle school, but about halfway through high school, CJMuston. I was a radio kid. I loved Top 40 radio. It was what I listened to. I listened to it all the time. All of my radio stations in my car were Top 40 radio. And about my sophomore year of high school and kind of going into my junior year of high school, there was an up-and-coming band that I really, really liked. And it was this band called Linkin Park. Have you guys ever heard of them? Anybody? No. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, there was this band called Linkin Park. They came out with this album, Hybrid Theory, that 23 years ago was just massively huge, massively popular. They were my favorite band through high school and on into college. They were like a mixture of rock and rap. And the thing that I liked about them was the mixture of rock and rap together, but also this idea that they sang songs that seemed to really relate well to life. About that time, and musically, like the grunge kind of angsty songs were really popular. And so that's kind of the spot where they fell, that kind of grungy, angsty, rap, rock mixture type thing. I absolutely loved them. Well, this weekend I was driving in my car, and I heard one of their songs. And of course, I turned it up and I jammed to it, and I absolutely loved it. But as I listened to that song, I thought, holy cow, That's so true. Okay, it's this song that's called Somewhere I Belong. And the chorus goes like this. The chorus goes, I want to heal. I want to feel what I thought was never real. I want to let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I want to heal. I want to feel like I'm close to something real. I want to find something I wanted all along. Somewhere I belong. And I heard this song this weekend, and I thought, holy cow, like, that's humanity right there. And it was true in the year 2003 when this came out on Linkin Park's second album, and it's true today. I mean, if you guys really look around at the people that your lives intersect with, whether that's at school or in sports or in clubs or just hanging out with friends, if you truly look around into their lives, you will see that people, adults, kids, students, they are searching and longing for somewhere to belong. There is something inside of them that is placed by God in every human being that they were created to belong. And they were created to belong with God. God gives them that sense of belonging that nothing else in this entire world will give us. And we can see that as Jesus starts his ministry. I love the way that Jesus starts his ministry in the New Testament. If you look in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they all kind of share a similar way that Jesus starts his ministry. And they talk about how Jesus taught and he preached and he told his message to the people. And he also did miracles along the way and he healed people. And Matthew, Mark, and Luke are kind of doing it from this bird's eye view. And they say, this is what Jesus did. He taught, he preached, he healed people, and his fame spread. And everywhere he went, he would go to a town, and they said he would go to the tabernacle, and he would teach, and he would preach, and he would heal people, and his fame would spread to the surrounding area. And then he would go to another town, and he would teach, and he would preach, and he'd heal people, and his fame would spread to the entire area. And it's kind of this bird's eye view. But I absolutely love the way that John shares the start of Jesus' ministry. John takes it and brings it from a bird's eye view all the way down to the view of one human. I got to give you a little bit of backstory though. So John was written by John the Apostle, but there's also John the Baptist. John the Baptist was the guy that told people, hey, Jesus is coming. Someone is coming. This guy's named Jesus. He's going to save us. He's going to be the Savior of the world. And so John is out preaching and teaching. And one day Jesus shows up to John the Baptist. And John says, this is him. This is the guy. And John baptizes Jesus. And Jesus goes off and teaches and preaches. And then we have this interaction. And I absolutely love this interaction. John chapter 3, verses 25 and 26. Now a discussion arose between some of John's disciples and a Jew over purification. And they came to John and said to him, Rabbi, he who was with you across the Jordan, Jesus, he who was with you across the Jordan, to whom you bore witness, look, he is baptizing, and all are going to him. Now, every time that I've preached on this passage, every time that I've heard this passage preached, I've gone and I've heard preachers go about 2 or 3 verses farther to John's response to these disciples. But I want to focus in here because I recognized something as I read through these verses that I've never recognized before. And it's this start of Jesus' ministry that is told through the eyes of one man. And he says this, he says, listen, he's baptizing. Everybody's going to him. Do you catch that? Everybody's going to Jesus. You see, in first century, when Jesus showed up, and he taught this new message, and he interacted with people in a new way that was not the way that any other religious leader would interact with people in any history. There was something real about this Jesus. And when people showed up and they interacted and they connected with Jesus, they were drawn to him. They were just, are you girls paying attention? They were just drawn to him. There was something absolutely incredible about Jesus. And what was true 2,000 years ago is true today. People are searching for something that is real. People are searching for something that they can latch onto. People are searching for something that is filling in this hole that is inside of them. They're searching for somewhere where they truly belong. And it's not this fake belonging that the world offers. It is somewhere where they truly, honestly, deeply are loved and belong. And it's found in Jesus. And when people interact with Jesus, the real Jesus, they're drawn to him. It says all are going to him. And what was true 2,000 years ago is still true today. When people see the real Jesus and what he truly offers, they're drawn to him. And we have the opportunity to offer that to the people that are around us. And so my question tonight is, who in your life needs to be drawn to Jesus? Who in your life needs to know Jesus more fully? Maybe it's family members, maybe it's friends, maybe it's people that you pass in the hallway that, like, you know their name, but that's about it. Maybe it's people in your lunchroom, maybe it's people on your teams, in your clubs. Who in your life needs to know Jesus more fully? Now, here's what happens when we ask that question. What happens when we ask that question is we think about the people around us and we say, you know what? Most of the people that I know, they're pretty okay. And if you look back, going back to Lincoln Park, if you look back at Lincoln Park, they had it all. They were a hugely successful band. They sold millions of records. They toured the world. They had tons of money. They had the fame. They had the popularity. They had everything. But I started thinking back over their songs, and if you start to look through the discography of Lincoln Park, you will see song after song after song after song after song of something's missing. I just want somewhere where I belong. I want to feel something that's real. I want something that there's something deep inside of me that is calling out, and I just can't find it. You see, and that's what tends to happen with the people around us. We look at the people around us and they put on this facade and they're like, yeah, everything is great. My life is good. But if we really dug in deep and got to know them a little bit, we would realize there's something that they need. Something that's real. Somewhere they belong, and it's found in Jesus. Now, how do I know something was missing in the life of the Lincoln Park guys? Right? Because they're a band. I don't know them personally. But I do know this. In 2017, the lead singer of Lincoln Park, Chester Bennington, committed suicide. Because something really was missing in his life. He had everything this world had to offer, and yet something was missing. He could put on the front and the facade like everything was great, but at the end of the day, he wanted to feel something that was real. He wanted somewhere to belong. And in a crowd of people, when he stands on a stage and there are thousands of people cheering for him, he felt alone. Who in your life, you may not even know right now, and that's okay. Who in your life stands before you every day looking like they have it all together? And people surround them and build them up and praise them. But on the inside, they're terribly alone. And they're just looking for something that's real. They know there's something that this world is not offering, and it's not fulfilling. And they've tried all this stuff, but they just can't find it. It's Jesus. Who in your life needs to know Jesus more fully? Again, next week we're going to talk about how we can impact people for Jesus. But this week I want to just stop right there and focus in on that one question. Who in your life needs to be drawn to the real Jesus? Needs to know Jesus more fully? Because listen, what is true now that people need somewhere to belong was true 20 years ago when Linkin Park wrote the song Somewhere I Belong. And what was true 20 years ago when Linkin Park wrote the song Somewhere I Belong was true 2,000 years ago when Jesus stepped down into the earth, giving people the belonging that they truly searched for. And 2,000 years ago, Jesus shared the message that he offers somewhere that people can truly belong. It's something that's real that this world can't offer. And that was true 20 years ago when Linkin Park wrote the song, and it's true today for the people that walk around you. Jesus offers somewhere to belong. He offers the real thing that we're searching for in this life. So who in your life needs to know Jesus more fully? Every week I give a practical challenge, and this week the practical challenge is pretty simple. I want you to spend some time just thinking. And I want you to pull out a piece of paper, and I just want you to write a name or two. A name or two of someone that God lays on your heart that needs to know Jesus more fully. Now listen, that name may be somebody that goes to church. And from the outside, they look like everything's great. But if you dug down, they're missing the community. They're missing people that are showing them the love of Jesus, the stuff we're going to talk about next week. This week, I want you to just sit down and spend some time thinking, who is that one or two people that God is setting you up, like we talked about last week? He's put you in place. He's given you a relationship. He's given you similar interests. He's put you in their sphere of influence so that you can offer them the real Jesus, the real thing. And then just write that name down and commit to praying for that person all school year. Commit to praying for them, that God would open windows and give you opportunities to express the love and belonging that Jesus offers. Because at the end of the day, we all want to heal. We all want to feel something that before we know Jesus, we thought was never real. We all want to find somewhere we truly, honestly belong. Let me pray for you guys. God, thank you so much that you trust us enough to impact the people around us.